The sound of shattering glass shattered the silence. David's hands trembled as he gripped the whiskey tumbler, his gaze fixed on the divorce papers scattered across the kitchen counter. What was once a pristine home, a symbol of 12 years of marriage to Emily, now felt like a prison, each shadow in the room whispering betrayal. 2 nights ago, Emily had stood in the very doorway where he now stared, arms crossed. "I'm going on a date, David," she had said. The word date rolled off her tongue as if it were no more significant than a weekend errand. David had laughed then, a hollow, cold laugh filled with disbelief. "A date?" he had repeated, each syllable steeped in incredulity. "With who? Or should I ask, how many?" Emily hadn't flinched. "His name is Eric. He's a colleague," she replied, her tone as casual as if she were talking about a dinner reservation. I need this. I need to feel alive again." The word struck David like a physical blow. Alive? Hadn't 12 years together been enough? The mortgage, the weekend trips, the laughter over shared coffee in their sunlit kitchen. Wasn't that life? Or had it all been a lie? "Do you even hear yourself, Emily?" His voice trembled with restrained fury. "You're married. You swore vows. Does that mean nothing to you?" Emily shrugged, her indifference cutting deeper than any argument could. "I've given you everything, David. It's my turn to have something for myself." David didn't argue that night, not because he agreed, but because he knew the futility of fighting someone who had already decided to burn the bridge between them. Instead, he gave her one final warning, his voice low and icy. "Do what you want, Emily, but actions have consequences." The following morning, David woke early, a cold resolve solidifying in his chest like granite. This wasn't just betrayal, it was war. If Emily wanted to shatter their life together, he would make damn sure she felt the weight of every piece she broke. He began his day with precision, crafting the image of a man reborn. A professional haircut replaced the overgrown mess he had neglected in recent months. A sleek navy blazer, tailored to perfection, replaced the wrinkled shirts of his complacent married life. His battered sedan gleamed after meticulous wash, an outward reflection of the man he was becoming. By the time Emily descended the staircase in a tight black dress that screamed desperation, David barely spared her a glance. She paused, clearly expecting a reaction, a flicker of jealousy, but all she got was indifference. "Going somewhere?" he asked, his tone dismissive as he grabbed his keys. Her lips twisted into a scowl. "What the hell does that mean?" David smirked, sharp, cutting, and cold. "Exactly what I said, Emily. You enjoy your date. And remember, there are always consequences." Before she could respond, he was out the door. David drove to a small wine bar on the outskirts of town, where Rachel, a co-worker he had grown close to in the past few months, awaited him. Their connection had always been platonic, and until now, the betrayal he felt had stripped away his inhibitions, allowing him to see Rachel in a new light. She greeted him with a warm smile that felt like sunlight piercing through the storm clouds of his life. "David," she said, her voice soft but tinged with concern, "you look different." "Different how?" he asked, slipping into the seat across from her. Rachel studied him, her gaze lingering a moment longer than necessary. Confident, determined. They ordered wine, and the conversation flowed easily, an antidote to the chaos David had left behind. For the first time in weeks, he laughed, a deep, genuine sound that startled even him. But as the evening wore on, a darker resolve settled in his chest. This wasn't just about moving on. It was about ensuring Emily understood the magnitude of her betrayal. She wanted to play games. David would make sure he rewrote the rules. Emily returned home late that night, her high heels clicking against the tile floor. She stopped short when she saw David in the living room, calmly sipping a glass of scotch. "You're still awake?" she said, her tone cautious. David's eyes flicked to her, cold and unyielding. "How was your date?" he asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Emily faltered, a flicker of guilt crossing her face. "David, I don't," he interrupted, setting his glass down with a sharp clink. "I don't care where you went or what you did, but you'll care soon enough." Her brows furrowed in confusion. What's that supposed to mean? David rose from his seat, his movements deliberate. "It means you've made your choice, Emily, and now I'm making mine." The next morning, Emily awoke to an empty bed. On the kitchen counter, David had left a single envelope containing the divorce papers and a note. Actions have consequences. Enjoy your freedom. But freedom wasn't what Emily would find. David had already set his plans into motion, a chain of events designed to dismantle every comfort she had taken for granted. He stood outside Lucas's law firm, gripping a manila folder filled with every piece of evidence he had collected. Bank statements showing unexplained expenditures, phone records with late-night calls to unknown numbers, and a few carefully chosen photographs. Enough to prove infidelity, without tipping Emily off to how thoroughly he had prepared. Inside, Lucas greeted him with a firm handshake. "You've always been level-headed, David. So tell me what's driving you this time?" David's eyes darkened. 12 years of lies. 12 years of giving everything to someone who decided I wasn't enough. I want her to see what she's thrown away, and I want her to hurt. Lucas leaned back in his chair, a faint smile playing at his lips. "Then we're not just filing for divorce. We're going for blood." Emily's day started like any other, coffee in hand, scrolling through her phone. But when she saw the message from her boss, her stomach dropped. "Come to the office immediately. We need to talk about your position." She arrived to find David waiting in the lobby, a calm yet chilling presence. Beside him sat a private investigator, his expression impassive as he handed Emily a folder. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were photos of her and Eric in compromising positions, taken over the past month. Beneath them was a detailed report of her recent activities, including a timeline of nights she had lied about working late or meeting friends. "You had me followed," she whispered, her voice barely audible. David's voice cut through the air like a knife. "You gave me no choice. Actions, Emily, they always have consequences." Her boss stepped forward, clearing his throat. "This is a violation of company policy, Emily. You're terminated, effective immediately." Emily's world crumbled as David walked out without another word, leaving her to face the fallout alone. That evening, she returned home to find the locks changed. She banged on the door, shouting David's name, but he didn't answer. Instead, a neighbor handed her an envelope containing a single key and another note. "Your things are in storage. The address is inside. This house is no longer yours." Emily stared at the note, her hands shaking. How had everything spiraled so quickly? Just days ago, she had convinced herself that David would forgive her, that he would always be there to clean up her messes. But now, the man she had underestimated was dismantling her life piece by piece. David's revenge wasn't just personal, it was methodical. He enlisted the help of Ava, a trusted confidant who had seen the cracks in his marriage long before he had. Together, they crafted a plan to ensure Emily felt every piece of her betrayal. Emily felt the weight of her betrayal. "You're sure about this?" Ava asked as they sat in her dimly lit apartment, surrounded by legal documents and timelines. David nodded, his expression resolute. She wanted freedom. "I'm giving her exactly what she asked for." Ava smiled, a glint of admiration in her eyes. "You're not just walking away, David. You're making sure she never forgets what she lost." Emily's new reality had hit hard. Her savings were frozen, tied up in legal disputes. Friends she had leaned on for emotional support began to distance themselves, wary of the drama surrounding her life. Even Eric, the man she had risked everything for, stopped answering her calls after David's investigator paid him a visit. One night, Emily showed up at David's office, her makeup streaked from tears. "David, please," she begged, clutching at his arm. "I made a mistake. I see that now. Just give me a chance to fix this." David looked at her, his expression unreadable. "A mistake, Emily? This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. And now you get to live with it." While Emily floundered, David thrived. His newfound confidence extended beyond his personal life, earning him respect at work and admiration from colleagues. Even Ava, who had always been a supportive friend, began to see him in a new light. One evening as they shared a quiet dinner, Ava leaned closer, her voice soft. "You're a different man now, David. Stronger, smarter." David smiled faintly. "I had to be. Emily didn't just betray me. She forced me to see the truth about myself." Ava reached for his hand, her touch warm and reassuring. She may have broken you, but you're the one who's rebuilding. Emily's life continued its downward spiral. Her desperation led her to a series of poor decisions, each one dragging her further from the life she had once known. She found a part-time job at a diner, the only place willing to hire her after David's lawyer exposed her infidelity and financial mismanagement during the divorce proceedings. Every day she endured the whispers of co-workers and the judgmental stares of customers who recognized her as that woman, the one who had ruined her marriage for a fleeting thrill. The humiliation was unbearable, but she had no choice but to endure it. Late one night after her shift ended, she found herself scrolling through old photos on her phone. Pictures of her and David smiling during holidays and vacations, their arms wrapped around each other. She sobbed quietly, clutching the phone to her chest. Regret was a cruel weight, and it pressed down on her harder every day. Meanwhile, Eric, the man Emily had gambled her life on, wasn't faring much better. David's private investigator had ensured his indiscretions were known to Eric's employer, clients, and even his family. Rumors of his involvement with a married woman spread quickly, and within weeks Eric found himself ostracized. His colleagues distanced themselves, promotions evaporated, and his personal relationships crumbled. The final straw came when Eric's girlfriend, unaware of his infidelity until then, packed her bags and left him. He moved out of town soon after, leaving behind a trail of broken connections and a tarnished reputation. It was a crisp winter afternoon when David ran into Emily unexpectedly. He had stopped at the grocery store to pick up a bottle of wine for dinner with Claire, his new girlfriend, when he saw her in the parking lot, struggling to start her battered car. For a moment, he hesitated, torn between walking away and confronting her one last time. In the end, he approached. "David," she whispered, her voice cracking. He stood there, his expression unreadable. "I didn't expect to see you here." Emily looked away, ashamed. "This is my life now," she murmured. "I deserve it, don't I?" David's jaw tightened. He wasn't cruel by nature, but he couldn't deny the satisfaction he felt at seeing her humbled. "We all live with the choices we make, Emily," he said, his voice cold. "That's life." She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, David, for everything. I was selfish, blind. I don't even recognize myself anymore." David sighed, the anger that had once consumed him now replaced with a quiet resolve. "I hope you find a way to move forward, Emily, but whatever we had, it's gone. You need to accept that." Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked away, leaving her standing in the cold. David's life with Claire continued to flourish. They moved in together, their relationship marked by trust, laughter, and mutual respect. Claire's unwavering support helped David heal the wounds Emily had left behind, and for the first time in years, he felt truly at peace. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace in their cozy home, Claire rested her head on David's shoulder. "You're a good man, David," she said softly. "Don't ever